How has the school changed you since you first came?
Well, when I first came to the upper school, there were about 80 students, and now there are 155. There were no computers when I came. There were no Xerox machines when I came, and we pretty much did a lot of things by hand. So more than anything, technology changed in all these years, and that was, I started in the upper school in 1981 and at the early school in 1970. So in 1981 is what we're talking about.
Okay. How long have you taught at CFS?
Well, that was just my last answer. So I started in 1970, and I'm getting ready to retire in December. So it'll be about 40 years.
Okay. For the people who don't want to do the math right now.
Yeah, well, I just did it for you.
Good. How were you when you started?
How old was I when I started?
Well,
when I started at the Durham Early School, I was 23 years old. And now I'm really old.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
Do you think it's easier to teach now than it was when you first arrived at CFS?
I don't know. I think teaching has always been working with human beings. So, you know, human beings don't change that much. And it's really fun working with little tiny kids and middle school age kids like you guys. So I don't think there's a matter of it being easier or harder. I think it just is. It's really a lot of fun.
What are some lessons that the school has taught you?
Lessons that the school has taught me. That I'm always learning, that you have to be very patient and be able to be there for students for whatever, whether it's schoolwork or something in their personal lives, and to be flexible.
Okay. After you retire, how do you think you will continue to be involved with the school?
I'm not really sure. I haven't really thought that far, but maybe a little bit with outreach to alumni, since I know a lot of the alumni. Maybe something like that. I really haven't thought it through that far.
What were some funny things that you can remember about working at CFS?
Well, here's something you're probably going to think that the school started when Abraham Lincoln was around or something, but the upper school used to have one place where heat was, and that was a wood stove in the main room, which is now Sean and Gustavo's rooms. It used to be a great big meeting space, and there was a wood stove in there, which some students had the responsibility of getting the wood and stoking the fire in the morning. And we, in the wintertime, we all pretty much wore our coats and our gloves and hats, because that was the only room that was heated. So it would blow out into the other rooms, but the further away you got from the wood stove, the colder it would be. So it was like the dark ages, you know. And all of that because we didn't really have the school didn't have a whole lot of money, and they wanted to conserve energy, and that was one way to do it. So it's kind of, thinking back on it, I think that's kind of funny.
This is an interesting one.
Uh-oh.
Do we have any new or improved ways of dealing with kids who break rules? I think they asked this because I think, I don't know.
Yeah, actually there is a new way that we deal with students who kind of toy with the rules. So what used to happen was that if a student skipped class, and we wanted the student to stop skipping class, so the staff would get together and the staff would meet about the student and decide what to do about the student not going to class. And then students really afterwards would not like the decision we would come up with. So it was decided that we would instead involve the students in making discipline issues. So what we now have is a staff-student discipline committee. And students apply to be on the committee, and they serve for 2 years. And so if somebody is in trouble for any reason, there are about 3 or 4 staff members on the committee and about that many students. And then the students and the staff listen to the one student who broke the rule, and then the student gets dismissed. And the committee then decides on what the consequence will be. And so everybody makes a decision on a student disobeying a rule. Yeah.
Okay.
Is that what you want to hear?
I was clarifying at the beginning because some people think all the schools in like the 60s or the 40s or 50s, which this school wasn't around in
Yeah,
the
we
40s.
weren't around in the 40s or 50s.
But a lot of people think that, oh, it's always rulers, a ruler slap on the hand. But
No, it was
wasn't-
never like that. Mm-mm.
Wasn't like this.
No, no.
Okay. Is Henry Walker, who is an advisor here at CFS, acting the same way as he was then, like he is now?
I think so. Maybe a little older. I don't know. You guys know him better than I do because you work with him every single day,
Mm.
you know. But yeah, Henry is about my age.
How long have you been in love with Bob?
Oh, I thought you guys got rid of that question. That's just a big joke. That's
Oh.
just a big myth and a big joke. Thank you for getting rid of that myth.
All right, thank you for your time.
Sure, you're welcome. Have fun with this project.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jim Henderson. Today is October 22, 2012. I'm with my middle school students, some of them, in the CFS history class. And I am going to reflect on what Friend School has been like for me. I started in 1982, and now it's 2012. So Cole's got a question or two to ask me.
After you retire, how do you think you will continue to be involved with the school?
Well, after I retire, I know I'll want to be involved with the school. I think I'll still keep coming out to the weight room. For instance, I think I'll still be involved maybe with middle school exploratorium, coming to performing arts events and sporting events. I might work with students who need a tutor or a coach, and maybe I'll be a substitute teacher. There's lots of ways I can see being involved. I'll probably keep coming out on the weekends when it's nice and quiet too.
Next question. What were some funny things that you can remember about working here?
The funniest things always happened with the staff and students at school. Every day you'd find something to laugh at. People approach their lives and their work here with a sense of humor. That's one of the best things about Friend School. You know, I always remember Halloween costumes and what people wore. I remember people being video games and being television sets with programs in them. I used to be, more than once, I was Edgar Allan Poe. I also wore black pajamas once and was a Viet Cong soldier with my great-grandfather's Civil War musket that I have still. Those are some of the funny things I remember. There was also the time when I was upper school head teacher and a bunch of students were missing. And it was the half day right before Christmas. And I found out where they were, and I showed up at that house and said I was the truant officer, come to take them back to school. And they all came back in a rather sheepish way. Now it's funny. It wasn't very funny then.
Do we have any new and or improved ways of dealing with kids who break the rules?
Oh, kids who break the rules. Do we have ways of dealing with them? Well, in the upper school for some years, I think when I was upper school head, we started with this staff student discipline committee. I think that's a good way to deal with students who break the rules. In the middle school, the head teacher deals with it, but talks with the staff about what should we do, and we really emphasize trying to make restitution for wrongs that have been done and reflecting on better ways to behave. So when we ask students to leave the school, we give them something to learn and do and ways to prove that they're ready to come back and be part of the community.
Is Henry Walker acting the same way he was then, like he is now?
Henry Walker is eternal. Henry Walker is a little grayer than he used to be, but he is very much the same person, same great person, and the same great teacher. I've always enjoyed having Henry as a colleague. He's an inspiration, and he has been for generations of students. I think he's getting close to being here for 40 years, which is a lot more than my measly 32.
How has the school changed since you first came?
How has the school changed? It has gotten bigger. There are some more students, not a whole lot more students. There's a campus early school. There didn't used to be one. I remember when it came through the woods and was set up on blocks in around 1989 or so. And the school has gotten better facilities, better buildings, better playing fields. Things are better maintained. Teachers are a little bit better paid than they used to be. But I really see the school as being more the same than different. Our philosophy and our way of working with students and with each other as teachers has remained very much the same, and that's a good thing.
How long have you taught at CFS?
Well, I started teaching in 1982, and I pretty much always did some teaching, even when my responsibilities were primarily being an administrator. But I've taught language arts, social studies, music, performing arts. I taught a little tiny bit of science. I've taught no math, but pretty much everything else, human sexuality, drug education. I've taught some religious studies, and pretty much everything but math, and not too much science.
How young were you when you started?
Oh, let me think. I believe when I started, I was in my early 30s. Yes, I think that's right. And now I'm 63. I'll be 64 on July the 4th.
Do you think it's easier to teach now than it was when you first arrived at CFS?
Yes, it is easier. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's better because teachers have more time for planning and preparation. Still not a lot. There are more traditions of how we do things at school, so it's not always reinventing the wheel. When I first arrived, I had no idea what I was supposed to teach except some class titles. There was no curriculum. I had to find books. You had to make up a lot of stuff back in the day. Still, you can make up things and do things the way you want, but at least there's a place to start, thanks to what colleagues have done. There didn't used to be much of a place to start, because we were making it all up as we went.
Last question. What are some lessons that the school has taught you?
What are some lessons the school has taught me? What a great question. I think that when I was in my first year of teaching in upper school, I had been a college teacher, and I came with lectures to give. And after about the second week, these two students, Cindy Smith and Jenny Hall, got me aside, and they said, "Jim, you seem like a pretty nice guy, and you're a pretty smart guy too, but I'll tell you, we would learn a lot more if you didn't talk so much. If you let us do the talking and teaching. If we were the teachers and we had to learn it to teach it, we would learn a lot more. And so that really changed my life. That's something I learned from the school. I learned to be a better listener.
Very interesting.
Any other questions?
You left Bobby.
Oh, that's a question for Willie.
It's going to be in the bloopers.
Okay. I'm very grateful to have been at Friends School for all these years. It's a great place.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Good job, guys.